I remember the only time I've ever called into a radio station was when I was probably 11 or maybe 10. And it's because I wanted to win Jamiroquai tickets.
Oh, great.
And I'm a pretty anxious, shy person, and I was a very anxious, shy child. And I didn't like making mistakes or confrontation or anything like that. And it's one of the few memories I have of my childhood is being on the phone, and it must have been the producer, I guess, who was talking to me. It sounded like the host of the show on the radio. But it would have been a producer because it wasn't on air. And he was like, what can I do for you, Lisa? And I said something about how I wanted these Jamiroquai...
Did they ask for calling? Did they ask?
Yes, they
so
were.
Wasn't you just cold calling? It's like, Lisa, what can I do for you? Well, I want to sell you something.
Sorry, this is reception desk. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's our washing machine? Yeah. We don't know who Jamiroquai is. I was like, I wanted to win these Jamiroquai tickets. And they said something innocuous like, oh, we already did that. We already did that competition like an hour ago or something. And I got so upset that I just started running around the house looking for my mum so I could give her the phone and run away. I was just like, because I was embarrassed.
That you got it so wrong.
Yeah, I was so embarrassed that I just like ran around the house. And my mum didn't know I'd called them. So I gave her the phone and she's like, hello?
And then they're like, you're live on the air.
This is gold. This is radio gold.
What is going on
this
here?
Fuckwit kid.
My most disappointing thing about the rise of the internet has been the removal of genuine instant win prizes. It used to be you open a bottle cap and it says you won a thing. Yeah. You unwrap it, you won a thing. Now it's like put your code on the website. It's like no, I want a genuine instant win.
Do you remember when Pepsi Max first came? No, not Pepsi Max. Dr Pepper first came to Australia. They had a promotion that was 1 in 3 caps wins you a free one.
Yes, it was super high chance.
It was insane, and you could go weeks without never having to pay.
I used to do that in high school with Mars bars.
Yes, that was the best.
Gone are those days.
But it was the best. The chain of it, and you'd be on a hot streak, and you'd get the third one. And you're like, come on, can we go for 4?
Yeah.
And it's really started my gambling addiction that I have today. Of that, come on, Dr Pepper, Daddy needs a new Dr Pepper.
Eden, Josh, Game Boys themselves, welcome to Reanimates.
Thank you for having us. It's great to be here.
Thank you. It's lovely to be invited on the show.
I am so excited because today we're doing a movie that I like.
What a bar. What a bar.
So just like it. So you've done some bad ones that you haven't got around, but this one's sort of coming good?
This one this week is not only one of my favourites, but also one of Jeffrey Combs' favourites.
Really?
Yes. So we're doing Love in a 45 from 1994. Jeffrey Combs fans will know this as Jeffrey's turn as Dinosaur Bob. Dinosaur Bob has a huge amount of love in the fandom. People love him, and it is also, and we'll get into it later, but it is also one of Jeffrey Combs' favourite characters that he's played in his career.
Dinosaur Bob. That name, Dinosaur Bob, that's the hook.
Oh, yeah.
If you're called Dinosaur Bob, I think you're going to get a lot of love there.
I'm very happy that he likes the role so much because for me, he was by far the highlight of this film.
Yeah.
Did he ever explain why is he called Dinosaur Bob?
Nope.
And just adds to the mystery of Dinosaur Bob. It's a good moustache.
It is a good moustache. Look, if you haven't seen the movie, listener, just get out your phone or your tablet or your C-scrolls and just Google Jeffrey Combs Dinosaur Bob just so that you can have that image in your head when we're talking about this movie. Because beautiful costume.
So it's a really nice, slick look. I really like his costume in this one.
I mean, before we get into it, like one of the reasons that I wanted you guys, when I've seen your shows, during Fringe and Comedy Festival and stuff, it is just like soaked in pop culture, which I'm so happy about. Because like, have you ever met those people that just they're not really into movies?
Oh yeah,
and I can't imagine not.
It seems such a weird thing to be like, oh, movies, television, nah. I've got no love for any of that. It just seems like such a weird thing because it's so built into our
it's a weird thing. Like
lives.
I know someone that wasn't allowed to watch commercial TV as a kid and they could only watch ABC. And so like a massive cultural touchstone for me is The Simpsons. And it's like you kind of feel like every single person in your life like knows about The Simpsons. The same with films. Like I get not knowing more obscure stuff. Like, but generally, like films, you just go. Most people know most films. I just have a presumption that
most people know most films. There's a lot of films out there.
I know, but like the big ones that I feel were a big part of my childhood. Yeah, a big part of my childhood.
Jaws, Star Wars, Jurassic Park.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows those.
The Money Pit. Yeah.
and Love and a 45.
And what's interesting what we what we do is like a lot of the pop culture, we're kind of hyper aware that not everyone has seen all the stuff we do. So it's really nice and interesting to try and find that balance between, if you don't know it, is this going to be funny anyway? Or you get to show them the thing first and go, hey, this is a really funny thing that we remember from our childhood. How funny is this scene from Blue Heelers where a kid gets hit by a car and it's clearly got this snap change into a dummy?
Yep.
Like, you see that and it's like, you go, look at this. This is really funny, right?
This is Tucker Bag. Okay, this was a real ad. And we're going to show it to you 15 times.
Yeah.
That was the weird thing, because we had a lot of Tucker Bag at our last live show. That people, I think, from interstate, I think it was just a Victorian thing.
Yes, it
And
was.
then some people thought that we had invented Tucker Bag.
Oh, if only.
And
I
built
know.
the ads from scratch.
Yeah, that is the thing. Like, if you like, the people who get the cultural touch point fucking love it, but if they
Yep.
don't get it, you want them to be able to enjoy it regardless.
You need to build
Yeah.
it in a way that
Yeah.
they get something out of it.
Yeah, I think what I'll do at the end of this episode is I'll make a list of all the things we referenced that there's no way that anyone outside of Australia would know, and then you guys can all just YouTube it and see what we as Australians and especially Victorians were raised on. Also, Josh and Eden are brothers, in case that isn't clear.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I noticed that when you said the stuff we were raised on, I was like, I mean, people,
That
Yeah.
is weird,
Yeah,
isn't
that
it?
is
Right?
weird. Yeah,
People will
we've been
assume.
friends since birth. yeah. We are brothers.
our mothers were best friends, and
Yeah.
they forced us together.
Yes, the Porter brothers. But look, let's talk about Love and a 45. shall
No.
we?
Yes, we should. Written and directed by C.M. Talkington.
Which, when I found that out, I thought it's like a made-up pseudonym that someone uses when they're put on the spot on the phone. What's your name? CM Talking to.
Look, there is a thing where directors, if there's a film that they really don't want to be
Yep.
like known for, they will use like a pseudonym just to sort of get it out there because they
Yeah.
don't want it attached to their CV.
Is Talkington a real person?
I believe so, yeah. Well, I noticed
CM Talkington.
I noticed that with looking up Fred Olin Ray, who does a lot of B movies, which Jeffrey Combs has starred in, which
Yep.
I'll cover in a few episodes. And I did notice looking at his IMDb that there's a lot of his films that he has done under a separate name, and I realised that's because those ones are particularly porny.
Particularly porny.
In the future,
CM
when people are
Talkington.
Googling my name, whatever that is.
Yeah.
in the
Now I
future.
just imagine CM talking. He sounds like a top hat monocle. Come in for the audition.
I'm going to write a film about the American South. Yeah, no, it would have to be, and if what you're picturing CM Talkington looking like is the opposite, because I did watch a behind the scenes featurette about this film, and I mean at the time he was just this like young rocker dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like this like young kind of rock and roll guy, and I think he is
That makes a lot
actually
of sense.
a musician now because this was his writing and directing debut.
Yes.
And I would argue it's a good start. But since then, he's had a pretty sporadic output. I think he's only done 4 or 5 film projects since '94. And I think he's a musician.
There's plenty of that sort of rock stuff injected into the film. Enough
yeah.
of it that it makes sense.
Rockabilly sort of. Yeah.
This movie, I think, unfairly gets compared to other films of the era, which people compare this to Tarantino films all the time.
And that was the first thing, because 94, so obviously 94 is Pulp Fiction
Yeah.
as well. So there were, when I started watching it, I really did start feeling like, oh, hang on, is this trying to do a Tarantino-esque thing? But the fact that they both came out in 94...
Yeah. They would have
is-
been filming at the same time.
Exactly.
I think that it was just a thing of the time because you've also got things like Natural Born Killers.
Yep.
And it's like, I think that there was just a vibe in the air, and maybe Tarantino kind of kicked it off with like Reservoir Dogs, which
yeah.
was like a few years before. I mean, someone compared this to Reservoir Dogs. I'm like, I don't think it is. Like,
There's a scene that's kind of like where Jeffrey's sort of doing a bit of almost the torture dance kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
That's
yeah.
like...
That's a little bit like the Michael Madsen scene in Reservoir
Yes,
Dogs.
Yeah, that's the
Cutting his ear
closest
off. Yeah.
thing.
But there's enough. This really is just a character piece that we can really dive in. I think there's enough difference there to really set it apart.
Yeah. So we open on a burglary in a manner of speaking. We've got this burglar in a balaclava. He's holding up a convenience store. Our main character, I'm going to give it away even though like he's wearing a balaclava in it, but this is Waddy Watts, which is a terrible name.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
played by Gil Bellows. Greater cinephiles than me might know him as Tommy from Shawshank
Yes,
Redemption.
I was gonna
whereas
say.
I know him as Billy from Ally McBeal.
From Ally McBeal.
I know.
That is the only thing that I was like, that's the Ally McBeal guy.
Yeah.
Well, do you
That's
know
my
what's-
touch point.
Okay, so I want to touch on this touch point because if you think, is there room here? So Tommy from Shawshank Redemption,
Mm-hmm.
you know why he's in jail? For a robbery.
Oh.
So, is there a world where Shawshank Redemption is the sequel to Law and 45, where he's changed his name,
Yep.
ended up in prison, and then and it's all bets are off from there? Is
Well,
it?
They're the same year.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
This is this a cinematic universe? Is this-
The Love It 45
45
cinematic
cinematic
universe. Yeah.
so we're in this robbery.
Yeah. He's holding up this like 12-year-old boy who's behind the counter, giving him like a pep talk about life and the universe. He's very wise.
He's very wise in the ways of the world, and he comes across as the lovable rogue, the sort of bad guy with a heart and everything. And he's giving him some advice. He goes, "Hey, because someone gave me this advice when I was a kid. And now I'm passing it on. I'm
Yeah.
giving some to you." So you know he's got a good heart at the end of the day.
He's got street smarts.
Oh, he reeks of street smarts.
We're also shown that he has an accomplice in Starlene, which is a great name comparatively, played by Renee Zellweger in a very early role.
And what do you think? And she's playing sexy Renee Zellweger as well.
Hey, she's
Like-
always sexy, mate.
Yeah, well, but I don't immediately recognize her or think of her as like the femme fatale sort of sexy girl. But when you look at her first films, she was that rocker sexy girl that was in Dazed and Confused and Reality Bites. She sort of played that sort of punky, sexy.
I guess,
sort of girl.
I
That's
guess
how she
so.
started.
Probably her later career redefined her, I
No,
guess.
but didn't. 2 years later, she did Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
2 years later.
I would say that deviated her. I also would argue that she's not particularly femme fatale in this. I would call her lovely, but very ditzy.
Yeah, Ditsy's good. Yeah, Ditsy's good. I'm thinking more of this opening scene. She's like
Yes.
seducing the guy, and she's.
I thought it jumped around a lot. Like the opening scene with her where she takes on the armored car driver.
Yeah, so
We
she's
need to set
takes
that
him
up.
on.
We need to set that up.
she's
Lisa.
distracting the driver of an armored car to stop any assistance coming to the store.
Yes.
Yeah, and so she's all like playing sexy, trying to, get him into her
Mm.
web kind of thing. And then there's like moments later in the film where she's doing something so dumb. And I'm like,
Yep.
what? There's this real difference between those kind of moments. Like here, she seems like she's got those street smarts and all that kind of stuff. And she's, getting the job done and getting what she needs to do. I thought she did quite a good job of seducing. It's very long. It felt very long, that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of.
There was a lot of the driver just gawping.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of boy with his eyes coming out.
Here's a little sample of Renee Zellweger's prowess in this. How she's very lucky that this armored driver is particularly like horny and stupid.
Hi. My goodness, mister, I am so glad you stopped. I was starting to get a little scared, what me being out here all alone on the highway and such, with hardly anything on to protect me from the elements and such.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, wow. Wow. Look at all those tools. Ooh. I bet you had yourself a right good time. Handcuffs.
The good thing about that scene, there was a couple of things I noticed. One was that what kind of person has like road flares? Because one thing, she's set up the sex trap by her car's broken down on the side of the road at night. She's got road flares out. I'm like, even though you're a criminal, I don't think I've ever seen road flares in any kind of
Hang on,
non-commercial
what do you
setting.
mean road flares?
Like those sparkly flares that you throw on the road to like.
she
stop-
have them?
Yeah.
I didn't
I
notice
didn't
that.
notice that.
I noticed that heaps. It's not like a cone or something, or like, you put something out. It's like if they were small, but they were like flaming road flares. Armored car driver, right? Key thing, right? You don't unlock your doors for anything. And there's this weird moment where to assess her, he gets his torch out.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
awkwardly shining it out the window at her.
Yeah, it's really quite strange. And there should be two people in every armored car
Yeah, there
as
should
well.
actually.
You'd think so.
That's a
For
rule.
security purposes,
Yeah,
in case one of the guys gets too horny.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
And you go, mate, sorry, I'm too horny. Can we swap out? They high five out. They swap out. You're good to go.
The punch card. The next 3-hour horny shift. All right, going in.
So Waddy has a lot of verbose, wise Southern charm in voiceover throughout. it's full of like metaphor and wondering and musings and such. Some of it goes better than others. There's some stuff he says later where I'm like, that sounds profound but makes no sense. So when Starlene and Waddy are messing around in their trailer home, they are visited by a couple of real stand-up dudes. We got Creepy Cody, played by Jace Alexander, and Dinosaur Bob, played by Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes, the man of the hour.
Highlight of the film.
There are a couple of, I guess, henchmen. They're kind of like...
Muscle.
They're your classic hired goons.
Yeah.
Hired goons.
Hired goons. They're like strung out flunkies, basically. They're collecting on a loan from their boss, some loan shark, presumably. Waddy has obviously borrowed a huge amount of money from them. They're threatening Waddy. They're pissing in his garden.
You say huge amount of money. It's only $2,000.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Moneybags.
But in the scheme of like...
$2,000 is a lot of money.
Okay, I'm just... Sorry, I've moved my Ferrari from other place. But like if you think things that you're going to kill someone over...
Yeah.
I would have felt you could have... Mate, Waddy, borrow some more money if it's going to put your life on the line.
To put this in perspective as well, the first robbery he makes $500 off, which I thought was a really small amount for an entire convenience store to have.
Yeah, that's about right.
Is it?
Yeah.
1994 money.
And it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. All right, maybe I got that wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I just a lot.
But in fairness, it seems like they want to kill him anyway.
Dinosaur Bob definitely wants to kill him.
Oh, yeah, he loves it.
Yeah, he loves it. He kicks over his vegetables. They piss on everything.
Yeah.
So Creepy Cody, he spent an inhuman amount of time pissing on those tomatoes.
Was
there a stream or was it stage fright?
There was the initial piss. Yeah, then Waddy comes out and the sound effect dies.
Yeah.
It's like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm trying to piss into tomatoes. My big takeaway from Creepy Cody was that his costume is weird. He looks like a ska musician.
He looks like he should have
because he's got a little hat.
He should have a double bass.
Yeah, he really should.
He really should.
He's got this little straw hat. He's got like an ill-fitting suit with like a dark green shirt on the whole time. Yeah, he should be in a ska band.
He does look like that if you panned down, he'd be wearing black and white checkered bands.
Yes, massively.
And like really baggy jeans that drag along the ground.
And Dinosaur Bob, he's looking great.
He's slick.
He's slick Rick right there. He's got his great little moustache. He's got his little suit on. I don't know. He's looking
snakeskin boots.
He looks like a southern gentleman.
He's got the slicked back hair with the little ducktail at the back.
It's very exciting as well. Like seeing him on camera, like very exciting.
Yeah.
It was just his energy in the scene is great.
Yeah, he chews up the scenery every time he's in there, in the best way.
Does he ever?
He's a real southern greaseball. In an interview with the AV Club, Jeffrey has said he loves this movie and that it's in his top 5. And he went on to say this about the role. I remember that I was really perturbed when I went in and auditioned because my agent said, "You're reading for this character." So I prepared and walked into the room and they said, "You know what? We want you to read for the other guy." It just really threw me and I said, "I don't have that prepared." They said, "That's okay, just, read this stuff. We just want to hear it in your voice." And it turned out to be Dinosaur Bob. I was going in for his partner, Creepy Cody, and all of a sudden, I have all this other sassy dialogue, which I did. And bam, got the part. I was thrilled to be doing a movie where I could channel some of my relatives because my family is from the Ozarks.
Oh.
So, from what I know in my general research of Mr. Combs, is that he does have a lot of family from, like, Arkansas and that whole area, so... That's why he's generally pretty good at southern accents. I think he said that he was basing Dinosaur Bob loosely on an uncle. Yeah, so isn't that bizarre?
I love all of his uncles. Jeez, I hope it's on me.
Yeah.
Isn't that bizarre to think that he went in for Creepy Cody? It could have been a completely different film.
Well, Creepy Cody doesn't give a lot, but
he doesn't do much.
Well, they're dynamic.
But the other thing I think, though, it's like you do what you're given. So in terms of the script, I reckon he would have improvised a bit more, even at Creepy, and it probably would have pulled that character out a bit more, and there would have been a bit more meat to it.
Yeah.
But because whatever material you're going to give him, he's going to go off the deep end.
Yeah.
Just in this scene as well, I think it was Creepy Cody, my favourite line, which seems like a weird thing to put in the script and in the film. It is, "I hate breakfast. It makes me want to puke."
Yeah.
Just
weird.
Nothing else. Just
Weird.
there.
Doesn't come back later.
Nah.
Doesn't come back later
Nah,
where he's like, I could really
strange.
go some breakfast right now.
But I do like the dynamic between Dinosaur Bob and Creepy Cody.
Yeah, it's a bit Victor Frankenstein and Igor kind of.
Yeah.
It's where we going now, boss? Why I order?
Oh,
So
good.
Starlene and Waddy are like horny as hell as well.
Yeah, that sort of goes on. They let
make
that play out.
in every scene. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, well, he's always putting her up on tables. And
Yeah,
like
well, even
grinding
then-
and things like that.
Like
yeah.
they were having sex in the morning, went out and chatted to Cody and Dinosaur Bob, come back in, straight back into it pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are they meant to be? How tiring.
Yeah. I get tired just looking at him.
Yeah. I'm sitting there watching it in bed, eating my chips and going, talk about stamina.
This is very unrealistic.
No, I'm yelling at them going, yeah, you wait till you're in your 30s.
yeah. Where are my nachos?
Their age relative to their amount of sex doesn't necessarily read that they should be growing tomatoes yet. Growing tomatoes is 10 years in their future.
Yeah.
It sounds like the biggest mathematical problem. I can show you a Venn diagram of age, sex to
Yeah.
tomato growth.
Yeah.
I can show you.
They should be having plant growth for at least 10 years.
Yeah, I think it's just meant to be indicative of how obsessed they are with each other. And that is their whole vibe of it, is that they're Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lovers, fucking wildly obsessed with each other, to the point that they make some strange decisions. But we soon meet Billy,
Oh, Billy.
played by Rory Cochrane, who I'm normally pretty good at recognizing people in movies. It took me ages to realize that he's Lucas from Empire Records.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
I would not have picked that.
well, he looks a bit different.
yeah.
but- yeah, which he also starred in with Renee Zellweger, and they were also together in Dazed and Confused as well. Yeah. Billy's gross and weird though.
Billy is
Oh, man.
strung out,
He's a bit
disgusting.
This, just as a general note for this film, I don't think I've seen something with so much yelling and shouting and screaming.
Yeah,
Really?
his acting is very
There's
yelly
a
and
lot
shouty.
of like nondescript shouting and
Especially from Billy.
Yeah, he
big
does.
time.
I think he played a little too much into the drug addict sort of thing of like, I've got to be on drugs, and that means I'm shouting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Billy, he's gross and weird, but he seems to be Waddy's main hookup for like crimey things.
Yes.
So even though they do a lot of the same crime-related things, we're meant to hate Billy but like Waddy. And it turns out that Waddy actually borrowed the money for a good reason, you guys. He's not all bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he got it from the loan shark so he wanted to buy Starlene an engagement ring because she asks him every single day.
every
Yeah.
day.
She's not subtle, and it's like maybe he doesn't want to. Like, stop asking. It's weird. It's needy. It's weird.
But can I just say, I don't know whether we want to jump ahead now, but the loan shark is like never really mentioned or shown.
No, he isn't. There is because I have it on DVD.
Is there a
There's
deleted
one
scene?
deleted scene. There's two deleted scenes where you see him. I will ruin the surprise for people that maybe don't have the DVD, but
No, don't say anything. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to go buy the DVD
go
now.
now. I will not let you in on it. It's a secret club. No, he's a kind of a preacher, but he seems like the kind of guy that does preaching as a grift.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. So he's one of those like believing in the Lord, Southern gentleman.
You are healed.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
pay me $50.
Yeah, that's exactly who he is. Yeah, he does it. He
so
does
that
it for the money.
that makes more sense that there is a deleted scene, because I did think it was weird that they set this up as like, you've got to pay him back,
guy, yeah.
you've got to do this, and then it's never really.
Yeah, so they plan to rob a convenience store to try to get the money back. Yeah, a fun touch is their like shitty dollar store masks that they use to rob the shop.
There's the wrestling one and the big teeth.
Yeah, the lucha. He's got like a lucha libre
Libre.
half face.
Yeah.
Which covers very little of his face.
Yeah.
Well, what is also weird is there's a massive difference between this robbery and the first robbery.
Yes.
Like, that's what I felt that was a little bit jarring. I know Billy's
Yes.
involved in this one, but he goes from cool as a cucumber, has all the answers, knows exactly this big heist, it's all planned, and now he's literally running in there. Where is everything? You're really drunk. What's happening? Like,
It escalated so quickly. The energy of the robbery goes from like, all right, we're going to check no bullets in the guns. Okay, let's go in, to like freaking out, sweating,
Yeah.
like really
Yeah.
weirdly quickly.
Well, they get a bit stressed out quite quickly because the shop clerk is really high and she is not being cooperative, and they're worried about being in there longer than they need to. Whereas I feel like the robbery in the start was one of those leisurely robberies, you know,
yeah.
very late at night, relaxing.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon robbery. You know the ones.
Yeah, you know when you're feeling a bit miserable about having to go go back to work next week, so you go do a robbery,
Yeah.
cheer yourself up a bit.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas this one is just hectic.
Yeah, very stressful.
From go to woe.
I also don't know. So Billy in the robbery, because he knows the clerk, and that's how he got the information on the hit.
He's been shagging her.
Yeah, he's been shaking it.
And so he goes and stands in the back, like at the back of the store, just kind of looking at the camera, not really doing much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not helping.
Whereas what he's doing all the talking, like, what is Billy's role in the robbery?
Yeah, why even him come? Why does he come in?
Yeah.
At all?
It seems like Waddy's pretty good at robberies on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have
I
charmed her.
like Waddy's solo stuff a lot better, guys.
Yeah. This Billy Watto combo is just
great.
it's
Yeah.
not working for me.
Billy's a real Garfunkel.
And look, it escalates to the point. It goes bad, doesn't it?
It goes pretty rough. Billy ends up shooting and killing the shop clerk. And they just scarper. They're like, fuck, as you would.
Well, there's that shot. They've got that interesting shot, which I really liked, which just they locked it off. And it was just the blood-spattered background, and then both of the guys sort of running in front, and then Billy jumps over the counter. Billy actually, after he shoots her in the face, he goes and grabs a biscuit, a cookie from the cookie jar, and just starts eating it straight away.
takes his gloves off first.
To get fingerprints everywhere.
Billy.
But it's a nice little and they're running in and out of the space and stuff like that. And I thought that looks pretty cool. It was pretty good.
They flee to a truck stop diner because Billy's having a mental breakdown and decides he wants some breakfast. Waddy does what any of us would do, which is after Billy makes a lot of threatening advances and remarks towards him, he forks him in the neck and abandons him in the middle of nowhere.
Now, this is honestly my favourite scene in the whole film.
Is it because Billy is so stressed out?
No, just the fact that there's the use of the slow-mo.
Oh, yeah.
Up in the air, he knocks it up in the air. The fork comes, and by the way, it's a double stab.
Yes. Of
So
course.
he does the stab in the hand with the knife, and then he uses the fork to do the neck. And I think that's a great combo.
Because the weird setup, when they're setting up what's about to happen, it's got the tight shots on the hands of Waddy's hands, like grabbing the knife. And then I'm like, cool, okay, he's got the knife. And it's like, grabbing the fork? All right, it's like he's about to eat a meal. He's got his knife and his fork ready to go.
And then he goes, why is he going for the spoon?
Spoon.
Yeah,
Dessert spoon?
Spoon his eye out.
Yeah, and then
you need the soup spoon for that.
and then he says it like all good stabbings, you need a good line to say that really brings the scene together. In this case, it's "fuck you, Billy." It really gets you where it hurts.
Can't believe he didn't even say fork you.
Yeah, I know. It was open. It was open there. Outrageous.
Waddy, maybe you're not as clever as you think you are.
I once had just on fork stabbings to the neck. When I was in the States a long time ago.
Where's this going, mate?
I met, no, it's actually weirdly related. A guy I met who was like a Marine, like a soldier, he called me, I looked like one of his military comrades who called Giblet. So he started calling me Giblet. Yeah, you look like Giblet. I'm calling you Giblet. All right, man. Yeah. And he was telling me, if you ever need to stab someone with a fork, you want to go for the artery in the thigh. I was like, all right, man, thanks for the hot tip. So I don't think he should have gone for the neck. I think he should have gone, according to my mate, for the artery in the thigh.
I have a question, though. Is a fork going to be sharp enough to penetrate jeans?
That's a great point. A diner fork, probably not.
Yeah.
But
a fork is a fork. As long as it's not like a plastic spork or something, a fork's going through your leg.
imagine that scene would have played out differently.
Yeah.
If we're in 2021, it's wooden cutlery now.
Yeah, everything's
Just-
biodegradable. Bang, and then Billy just shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
And then end scene.
So Waddy and Starlene realise they have to flee to Mexico. Starlene's really excited.
And she's so pumped, isn't she?
She's really excited about this little holiday despite them being on the lam. Like, this is the first instance where you're like, maybe Starlene's not very smart.
Yeah, this is when the ditziness really starts to kick in because she's like, oh, she doesn't even really care that much that that they have to run from the police and that they could go to jail and all this sort of stuff.
Well, she doesn't care that Billy's dead because she never liked Billy.
Yeah,
But
that's
she's
true.
also a bit like... She doesn't really, I don't think... she doesn't understand the gravity of the situation.
She's thinking more honeymoon.
Yeah.
Like this. Oh, great! You're taking me to Mexico.
Yeah, romantic getaway.
Oh yeah.
The romantic murder getaway, though, is interrupted by two more insane Southern gentlemen. These ones decidedly less charming.
Yes.
This time they're rangers.
My favourite quote from that scene was Waddy talking to Ranger X saying, "Take your chicken fried crypto-fascist ass out of my fucking house before I call the cops."
Crypto fascist.
I decided to look up crypto fascist.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was like some sort of ice thing, like like.
Oh, I thought it was
Cold.
kryptonite. I thought it was like Superman's
No,
kryptonite.
it's like hidden fascism. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
crypto-fascism is like hidden fascism.
the secret support for or admiration of fascism.
Yeah, the Rangers are decidedly less comedic and more corrupt and nasty in a sort of upsettingly realistic way. Scuffle ensues, as is often the case in this little trailer home. The Rangers end up dead. Time to go to Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But first they have to make the first of a series of terrible decisions, and they decide to go to San Antonio to say goodbye to Starlene's parents.
Yeah, can I just say, on this drive to San Antonio...
The road trip?
There was this road trip drive. So the scene that they've constructed, they're in the car and they're doing the classic green screen behind them, right?
Yeah.
So the green screen's moving, and as you drive, you can... Look, it's not the best green screen, but...
It's weird.
But it stands out. But there is one moment at the very end... The camera's front on and they're sitting there. The back window, the background is running left to right.
Yeah, it's going sideways.
The perspective shifts in the whole thing was so weird.
It's like going on this weird... It was so strange.
It's drifting.
was-
It's drifting on an axis.
It's a
Tokyo
Fast and
Drift.
Furious
Yeah.
thing, yeah. I'm just like...
There's one particular shot which just really weirded me out, where Waddy's driving and Starlene is sitting facing him, just staring at him. Like, she's obsessed with this guy. Like, she's just staring at him while he's driving, like she's studying him like a bug. She's a creep.
She's a creeper.
Anyway, going to San Antonio should not be your priority right now, gang.
No.
Plus, we find out that Billy knows where Starlene's folks live, so he's hot on their fucking trail as well.
Yeah, everyone's after them. Everyone's after them.
But importantly, Starlene gets what she wants, because Waddy proposes to Starlene in the car after they hear on the radio that they're wanted for murder. So,
And it is strange in this world that they've created, right? It's a crime-obsessed world that they've created. So all the way through, it keeps referencing, like at the very start, it has the crime channel. It's all crime all the time, and they keep reference. It like follows it, and it was very reminiscent of sort of like RoboCop, even Starship Troopers, how it has those like fake ads and things. The society that they've created, it's this sort of hyper violent sort of everyone's obsessed with crime and obsessed with stuff like that. I thought that was interesting.
well, that's not, apart from the idea of following minute to minute a couple who have only killed, I mean, it might be 3 people at this point, unless they've found the Rangers already. But in this day and age of true crime, killing 3 people, you're going to have to do better than that.
It's not a big story yet.
No,
You're
no.
not getting on the news yet
Think
for that,
about
mate.
think about the true crime stuff that we watch. I mean, you've got to do something pretty heinous for them to want to follow you minute by minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you're popping up in every single time there's a TV in a room.
They're on screen. Yeah.
And radio. It was weird for me how consistently and conveniently their story kept coming up.
Yeah,
Just
on the
the right
news, yeah.
moment.
Well, it's crime all the time.
all the time.
That's what it is, mate.
I'm genuinely surprised that in this day and age there isn't a 24-hour crime
Crime
channel.
show. I know. That just goes through all that.
I mean, like Foxtel would make $1 billion with that.
Just have crime.
Current crime or historical crime?
All crime, all the
All the
time.
time. Yes,
crime.
that's
We
what
don't distinguish.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, but
Back to the film.
back to the film. So they want to get married. They find a nice little justice of the peace played by Jack Nance,
Yep.
who's a little bit of fun. He's in most of David Lynch's movies, if you don't know him. He's Pete from Twin Peaks, quite notably. The guy who's like, there's a fish in the percolator. There's a fun sort of farcical scene where Jack Nance, like, he's about to marry them and then he, again, sees them on the TV.
crime.
So they have to, like, literally get married by, like, by gunpoint.
It's a literal shotgun wedding.
Oh, you're
Is
so
what they
droll
say.
watching. And then they tie him up, but in kind of a nice way.
They tie him up in a really lovely way, and then they put him in front of the TV, and they apologise for gagging him, and it's showing that they've got a heart of gold.
They do have a heart of
They,
Yeah. After this, we cut to my favourite scene in the whole movie. Billy is in a very dodgy-looking tattoo studio, if you want to call it that. It is not a hygienic environment. He's getting his head tattooed, which is intense.
bold choice. Do you know what he's getting tattooed?
No, I was just about to say it's not clear because there's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah.
it's a mess.
Yeah, it looks. Ugh.
Even
It's kind of
before
like
what happens
Nazi-ish, like skull with
Skinheady
wing, like but I don't think it's any particular thing. It just feels like he was kind of like, hey, fuck my shit up.
next. Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. Oh, and fun fact, the tattoo artist in this scene, C.M. Torkington.
Oh, is that
Actually?
Sam
That's him,
Talkington?
yeah.
Oh, one of
Very
his
young.
many credits.
He is really
Super
young.
young.
I thought Talkington was an old man.
Yeah, and he wasn't wearing a top hat or a monocle.
No. Well, he was in costume. you
Oh,
see.
of course, yeah. Yeah, so he got out of the tattoo gear, put the top hat back
Yeah,
on, and action.
He cares about the work.
Yeah, true. Can we get that green screen moving in the right direction?
How does a car work? I only take horses everywhere.
This auto can move both
automobile.
forward and side left to right.
In which direction does a jalopy travel? So the head tattoo is interrupted by Bob and Cody. They are fucked up. They're pretty strung out, and they really need some info from Billy about where Waddy is. Here's a little snippet of... I mean, in my notes, I've written a snippet of Bob being Bob.
You know, believe it or not, I used to be quite an artist with a needle in all sorts of ways. Put a needle in my hand, I'm a regular Victor Van Gogh.
Van Gogh cut his own ear off.
That's right, creepy. Bet you didn't know that, Billy.
Yeah, I did know it.
I think I missed a spot.
You drive fast, Billy. Yeah, real fast.
Oh, but I admire that in a man. I like a man who dances with speed. Hey, how is that crystal treating you?
Oh, he's so wonderful. Oh,
Oh, he's doing so much there.
It's
I
really
like a man
funny.
who dances with speed.
How good is it? It's so good.
He's wonderful, and there's all these really intense, like close-ups of his face, his mustache, and he's like dancing around him. You know who he reminds me of in this a little bit? Sam Rockwell.
Oh yes,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's
Real
so
Sam
true.
Rockwell
Yeah,
vibe. Yeah.
yeah, very true. And he does the lounge on his lap at one point. He
He goes big on the head tattoo torture as well.
Yeah. He
Just
keeps,
jam that into
that,
your head.
I honestly found that quite disturbing when he
I
started.
was thinking though, with
started
that
jamming the
much
tattoo
though?
in. What are they high on, by the way?
It's not clear.
No, they don't actually say it, do they? It's
No.
speedy.
Well, they got the cool new injectable.
Now that looks like a prop from another film.
Yeah,
It looks like a plot. It looks like a prop from a sci-fi film.
It looks
feels
like it,
completely
I was
out of
thinking
place.
Total Recall. It's when they inject the chip. It's the exact same gun.
Yep.
When they do that.
Yeah, like, sorry, I do just want to keep on talking about Jeffrey Combs because he's so wonderful. I love what he's doing. He's clearly just having so much fun. And I know I say that about a lot of his films because he's a good actor, but it is clear that he's just like leaning into this very particular type of Southern dirtbag. And yeah, as I said, he has that menacing charm of someone like Sam Rockwell, where he's not just like a heavyweight gangster kind of flunky like a Sopranos type thing. Like he does have that verbosity and charm and humor.
Yeah, and he's enjoying it. It's just that, like he's enjoying stabbing this dude in the
Well,
head.
the weird distinction as well is he's the only one with a silencer on his gun, and there's something way more like professional and like menacing about someone with a silencer on their pistol than anyone else.
Yeah, he's a smooth and slick but ultimately depraved man. I also love the little dance he does when he's dancing around with the...
He's dancing up a storm. Anyone that can have a little dance while they're doing a torturing scene, they're enjoying it.
I think what I like about it is that it's not a good dance.
Oh yeah, he's just sort of gyrating around.
He just sort of shuffles and he makes a sort of a choo-choo sound. Like he goes like, chugga, 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 chugga.
Does he?
Yeah. And then he's like, woo! And I'm like, oh, okay, it's the murder train? Is that what you're doing, mate?
It's coming into the station.
Yeah. So then they decided all three of them are going to go find Waddy and Starlene. They pump him full of this drugs, and all three of them, these three stooges, go looking for
They're on the
Waddy.
trail.
Next, we meet Starlene's parents. Great couple of folks here.
Mm.
When Starlene and Waddy finally arrive at their home, Starlene's mum, Thaleen, is played by Anne Wedgeworth, who, I mean, I don't recognise her from anything, but she's a lot of fun. Like, I saw that
She's heaps of fun.
yeah, like she's just done a bunch of TV and films. I think she was in Steel Magnolias. She's great. Virgil, her dad, is played by Peter Fonda.
Which is amazing. Like,
It's such an interesting role.
Talkington, how'd you get Peter Fonda?
The interesting thing about because it's Peter Fonda, so the key thing with this character is that he can't talk vocally.
yeah, they
He
made
has a voice box.
And
Regular.
I looked it up. It's
I don't know what
electrolarynx.
Yes.
Electro-
Those
Larynx.
things that the smokers and stuff you see in film, the people with cancer.
I used to be able to do it pretty
Yeah.
well.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Jesus.
I hope that comes out good in the recording. So that's Peter Fonda. And I wonder if...
Sorry,
You know where I got it? You know where I got it from?
I was
I
stunned
reckon
with
it's
the
Rob Light and
silence.
Man in the Box.
No, it's not. It's actually from Return of the Jedi when Leia goes to Jabba's palace and she's dressed up as the bounty hunter.
Your eyesight will return in time. You have hibernation sickness.
So, yeah.
God.
Anyone that sees, shout out to Return of the Jedi.
Because they've managed to get Peter Fonda, but maybe his fee was cut because he didn't have to talk in the film.
Sure. So he gets paid by the word?
Yeah. So they're like, hang on a minute, we've got Fonda, but in his contract he says paid by the word.
But does he also get paid by the steps? Because they also make it that he can't walk. So we're going to get this awesome actor in, but he's way too expensive. What if you don't walk and you don't have to actually talk properly?
Yeah.
We'll halve your fee.
Peter's agent's like, Peter, they sent through a pretty weird contract. It says you're getting paid based on movement and voice. Sure, it's a normal film, mate. Yeah, normal film, really normal. Sign it.
Those two actors, they're having so much fun together. Like Starlene's parents, good-natured, burnt-out hippies who were a lot of fun in the 60s, and now they've more or less settled down. I did see that apparently there's a few little doffs of the hat to Easy Rider in it. I think there's some part of his motorbike is like made into a lamp in the background of one of these shots.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think I didn't see it, but someone on IMDb mentioned it. So even though they're burnt out hippies, they do give Waddy and Starlene $30,000
Yeah, this is...
in '94
And Eden,
money.
how much is that? That change as well?
Well, when you compare the fact that they're on the run because of
Two.
$2,000 and then suddenly their parents are like, oh, here's 30.
Yeah.
Like, that's a decent chunk of change.
Yeah.
Like, that's worth robbing someone for.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of dialogue that really tells you, I guess, how Starlene views their whole getaway, and Waddy kind of has to rein her in a bit.
Well, they'll try and stop us. You know, they'll try and hold down old Watt and Starlene, but they can't. Because we're movie stars. Desperados and outlaws on the road to freedom. I swear to God, will remind me of Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty. I swear to God, it's going to be just like the movies, Juan. Just like the movies. Thank God we brought the Polaroid.
Everybody gets caught and killed in those movies, Star.
So Starlene is very much like a dreamer. I don't think they ever say how old either of them are, but it feels to me like Starlene's meant to be a lot younger. Because she's very impressionable, very
follows his lead,
airy-fairy.
and very obsessed with him. Like, she's projecting a lot of her happiness onto what he can give her.
Well, in the police report, they were described as early 20s. So,
Good
okay.
pickup, Josh.
a Caucasian
Detective Josh.
man and woman in their early 20s.
Good.
Starlene and Waddy make like a weird blood pact, which is really gross. They say that they're going to die together before ever allowing themselves to be caught by the cops.
Yeah, that was a weird moment.
Yeah.
To go this
It's
weird
dramatic.
ritualistic, like, candles and stuff around.
Yeah, that was weird.
cutting
Seems a
their-
bit much, guys. Like,
Yeah.
you can do stuff from prison. You don't need to die.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
You can
especially
do stuff.
Especially, you know, you got $30,000. Get a good lawyer. You'd be out in a couple
probably.
of years.
It also
And
wasn't
you can
like
have kids or whatever it is you want to do.
there's not been an element of like the occult or anything, but this felt very like The Craft or something like that. Like they're getting deep into it.
I was
like,
feeling
oh.
this was they were doing a pact of like, hey devil, if you can get us out of this situation, we'll like give you our firstborn.
They're very in love.
Oh yeah,
They're obsessed with
star-crossed
each other.
lovers.
And then, of course, they just fuck. And I mean, it's their wedding night. So
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. And she does say that to her mum, and then her mum goes, "What? Time for a little sex?" And it's just very awkward.
So Bob, Billy, and Creepy go to visit Starlene's folks, and there's a bloodbath ensues.
Yes.
So there's a whole lot of back and forth, and obviously they're looking for Waddy and Starlene, and unfortunately Starlene's folks die.
Yeah, and they die in the old. What's the most you've ever lost in a coin toss? It felt very Coen Brothers from No Country for Old Men in that. And they do the old toss the coin. Lands heads, you live. Tails, you don't.
Yeah.
And, it's unfortunate.
There are a few things I really liked in this scene. One was so this is their bedroom, in their family bedroom, right? There's a weird like
Family bedroom. Well, all the families
the family
sleep in-
home bedroom. Sorry,
All the
it's like,
family.
it's like Willy Wonka.
Yeah,
They're all in the
come
bed
all
on.
on the
sleep in
bed.
one
Grandpa
big
Joe,
bedroom.
come on in.
The artwork on the wall was some weird, like, it looked like it belonged in like a pasta restaurant. There was like bowls of pasta.
I saw the
and, like,
pasta.
a chef.
I saw the-
was
I saw the pasta
It feels like
pictures.
this should be at La Porchetta or something.
I did not pick up on
really
that.
weird.
Yeah, there is definitely
That's
pasta
like a
background.
And the other thing was that Dinosaur Bob holding the electrolarynx very threateningly like a knife
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Peter Fonda's neck.
Yeah.
It's like, that's
That's
where
weird.
it's supposed to go.
Yeah. And then he does it on the crutch as well. He does the old crutch
Yeah.
like
He's
robot
very
voice.
confused by
He's
it.
very, he doesn't know how to use it.
I think he thinks it's a taser.
Taser. That's what I thought as well. That's exactly.
And then my favourite bit was Peter Fonda headbutting Dinosaur Bob and knocking himself out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Peter's out.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I like to imagine Peter Fonda and Jeffrey Combs having a good time on set. That was probably a fun day.
That would have been a fun day filming.
Although, unfortunately, Dino Bob gets shot.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got shot.
Yeah, he gets shot and he dies in the next scene where creepy Bob and Billy are driving away. And Dino Bob's like, my guts are coming
Yeah,
out,
he
man.
loves, and they're like, "What's that smell? My guts are coming out." Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Dino Bob's last words are "fuck you" to Cody. Like, I thought you were friends. What's that?
And then Cody takes it to heart as well.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh no, why do you have to say that to me for?"
We're going to be in a ska band together. It's going to be so wonderful.
he was like a daddy to me.
Yeah.
I thought that there was going to be some sort of confrontation with them in the end. I was not expecting them to die at that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's definitely the more interesting pursuer than, say,
Yeah.
Billy. Even though Billy's meant to be the one with the connection with them
Billy
and things
just
like
shouts.
that. But
It's
he
loud.
just sort of shouts, whereas it would have been a lot more interesting
If all three of them had encountered the other two.
and have the big payoff
Yeah,
at
like
the
a
end.
big
Yeah.
fight scene at the end.
Yes.
Yeah. As we've mentioned, Starlene is kind of dumb. So they're literally on the run from the law, and she wants to stop and buy film for a fucking Polaroid. Like, mate,
Rookie mistake.
do you understand the gravity of the situation here? And she's just really like just walking around in her own dreamland. So what is really stressed out about all this? And again, they see each other on the TV. They see themselves on the TV.
In the it's the
In
classic.
classic, yeah.
It's the classic being in the TV store and every single
TV
TV store
turns,
has
yeah.
your face on it.
Yeah.
Instead of a Phil Collins DVD, as you'd have these days, it's them on Crime.
Really
Billy
like it.
does eventually catch up with our young lovers, and they end up fleeing to Mexico together.
Yeah, everyone's going. Yeah, that's right. They're all in the car, aren't they?
Kel Surprise.
So just in that scene where they all meet up, they get approached by a cop kind of figure or security scene or something. The weirdest thing about that is he's like, oh, I think I recognize you two. You look really familiar to me. And he can't quite pick them. And then he looks on the dash and there's a Polaroid of them. In pretty much the same setting that they're currently sitting in.
Yeah.
And he goes, now I get it. It's not like he sees the police
Shot,
photo
yeah, that's what's
of her
interesting.
in high
Yeah.
school. It's like, no, it's just a photo of them from like 2 days ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, wait, that Polaroid looks like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen on the TV.
You're the people from that Polaroid. Yeah, exactly.
I think it's just very much like they're all in trouble, so they might as well all go to Mexico. And I
Yeah,
think that's
all together,
the deal.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the deal with Billy. He's like, I need a car. I'm in trouble as well. I'm going to go to Mexico as well.
Yeah.
We'll sort it out over the border.
I know it's a big film trope. Does that actually work in real life, like from American people? Can people just go to Mexico and
Start a new
hide?
life.
Yeah.
Do they-
and
well-
hide from the law?
Well, yeah. If no one knows, you just go. You need to. The only thing is, you can't work. Like, you need to find cash in hand jobs and all that sort of stuff. And when we went down to Tijuana when we went to Mexico
yeah.
from
Hell
America,
yeah, you did.
and we went through the border. And I remember it was so easy leaving. It was literally like, went up, yep, we're going, see ya, bang, and then coming back. We had to wait 3 hours coming back into America.
Oh.
And so, although Tijuana, the only thing I really remember is a guy pouring like watered down tequila down everyone's throats with a whistle going hoot, 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 and just pouring it down people's throats. And then all these guys walking out with donkeys spray painted to look like zebras.
Yeah.
It really sounds like you went on holiday in the film Coyote Ugly. Yeah.
Oh, it is not Mexico at all. It was
No,
like
it
3
wasn't.
hours of it.
It was 3
from
hours in
San Diego.
Mexico.
It sounds like a frat party's version of what Mexico
It's
is.
what-
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it was.
And
that's what
and everyone
Tijuana
was
is.
like, yeah, that's what Tijuana
That's
is.
what exactly.
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Some
tequila.
Viagra soup. We saw a sign for that.
Yeah, Viagra soup.
Yeah, it tasted disgusting.
But I could fuck.
Wait, do you eat it or do you stick your dick in it?
It's like a moment
Why
of
not
Bob.
both? Why not both?
Yeah,
Put your dick in it, get hard, and you get a lovely tuna
And
soup
clench.
afterwards.
yeah.
And clench.
And then, it's like, it makes sense because like it'll get to the dick quicker if I put it in.
And also, you're hungry after sex. So I want a lovely bit of soup.
Yeah, that classic post-coital meal.
It's great. Haven't you ever been with your partner in bed with a lovely soup?
That's so hot.
Oh,
It goes
so-
in soup.
Oh, baby, that was amazing. How about some minestrone?
Big red.
Do you remember that ad where it's like, not bad for canned soup, hey?
Yeah.
It's that scene, but they're all fucking.
Yeah.
Not bad for canned Viagra soup, eh?
You nearly had us there.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
So the three have a standoff in a junkyard, which is a good scene for this to end.
Mexican junkyard.
A Mexican junkyard is also a sex move.
You can't do it unless you've had a full bowl of Viagra soup.
Yeah, you gotta have your tires taken off. I don't know. You have to get crushed into a cube. So Waddy has a lot of what he perceives as wisdom in this movie, and one of the things he says in this scene really annoys me. He says, "Your life has only as many pressures as you create." No,
No, yeah.
no, that's not how stuff in life works.
And then his whole spiel about the reactions. Yeah, he does a big long spiel about what is your left hand and your right hand doing, and they're not connected.
Billy's got Starlene gun to the head.
Gun to the head, and he goes, "Okay, can I get to you before you can shoot her? Is your reaction time fast enough? Because if I drop this note from my left hand, can I grab it in my right hand fast enough?" To me, it didn't make a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, presumably he is aware that Billy is still strung out on
that's true.
super
Yep.
meth or whatever it was that Bob gave him. So he's probably just trying to freak him out and be like, "I'm smarter than you.
Watch my hands.
I'm an evil genius.
Look into my eyes. Look around the eyes. Look around the eyes. Look into my eyes.
Look at my hands. Look
Look at
at the gun in my hand.
Yes. Now look at yourself.
Oh no, I'm a man."
Got me again.
But they do kill Billy though.
They
Obviously.
do kill Billy.
With that weird drug gun from earlier. I don't really understand how this kills him.
Yes, I
Because
agree.
they do the same thing that Bob did to him, and it just made him high.
But I think it's more. I think it's an overdose, isn't it?
Well, she
It's
did
just
it
an
once
overdose.
into his neck wound. So I guess the idea is
Well, because
the
they did
super
it into
drug
his
going
arm.
direct into neck wound will make you convulse for 50 seconds.
It's all killer, no filler.
Yeah,
That's
it was
stuff,
a weird. It didn't feel like in a lot of those films, like the kind of big thing coming back to kill the baddie of like the spectacular. Oh, it's not just a gunshot; it's something different. It felt like I don't know if that should kill him.
I thought it was going to be. I could feel something was going to happen, but then I thought it would be
What at the climax of the film?
Yeah. No, something to do with drugs or something.
Yeah.
Because what I thought Starlene might have pretended to seduce Billy and be like, "Hey, you know how you wanted to have a roll in the hay?
Yeah.
I'm forgetting Waddy. Let's go, but let's like have some. Let's get into it. Have some drugs.
Yeah,
have
that's
some drugs
true.
first, and then she was going to like trick him into overdosing somehow.
Yeah.
because she was going to use her
Or,
feminine
like,
wilds.
one for
that
me,
she-
one for you. She's not really doing it.
yeah, something like that. But no, it was just bang in the neck.
Well, because there is a bit where when they go to cross the Mexican border, they manage to evade the border security
yeah.
suspicions by
Holding-
Starlene just getting her shirt really wet.
It was
and
just
then-
a wet t-shirt competition.
Yeah, and then,
in the
like,
car.
There's a lot that you have to rely on for that because you have to rely on, to be honest, you have to rely on the border security person finding Starlene attractive.
Yeah, being straight,
Yeah.
finding her attractive,
Liking tits.
liking tits.
Some people aren't a tit man.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of things that, but they were
that-
just throwing shit at the wall.
The border guard's reaction wasn't as like the reaction of the security guard at the start in the van.
like, "Awooga."
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
loving it. Whereas
Yeah.
this guy was kind of like a little bit weirded out by it.
Yeah.
He wasn't like massively turning like, "Oh yeah, you guys could go through." It was this weird muted thing of like, I think you go through.
Well, I think maybe he was married with kids and he was feeling guilty about it and he didn't want to be tempted because he's a religious man
Yeah.
and he didn't want to go down that path.
So they do kill Billy. They give him the weird drug gun, and then they drop some acid that Star's parents gave her as a wedding gift from the 60s,
Yeah.
and they head off to their new life. They
And
drive
that's-
off into the sunset.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
into the mono, and then it went
Yeah,
this
the-
weird monochromatic
correct-
thing that tried to change the color. Like, oh, that's the acid trip kicking in.
Yeah, that's what. That's 100% what it was. I tell you what, I did like the. He puts it on her finger, and she. That's a really nice shot.
Yeah, they
So
put it
there's
on
a,
each
it's
other's
a
fingers.
huge zoom, put it on each other's fingers, and then they do it in each other's mouths. It's just, it looks really nice, and then they drive off into the sunset.
Acid is a more sexy drug.
I think so, yeah.
It's not as sexy to like pass a bong to each other.
A Gatorade bottle.
Yeah.
I love you.
Hey, get your lips around that.
Look, it was a fun romp. I think the acting across the board was pretty solid. I think it was fun. It was interactive. Dinosaur Bob definitely steals every scene he's in across the board.
Yeah, I definitely wanted more of him. Yeah, he is just, as I said, having so much fun and making this character like a real dirtbag, but just also very charismatic.
Yeah, massively.
And that's hard to do because it's. I imagine it would be quite easy to play a straight up and down villain. Just be like, I'll say menacing things. I'll be unlikable. I'm meant to be unlikable.
Yeah.
But it's probably hard. It's a lot harder to make your villain charming, interesting, and which I think he does in the albeit limited time that he has on screen.
You know what I'd love? I'd love to see a prequel movie all about Dinosaur Bob. Just like how
Bob.
he got into it, how he worked for this preacher, mafioso, boss guy.
Yeah, it's like Joker, but Bob.
Bob,
Like,
yeah.
But I think it's pretty telling that, like, every time there was a new scene with him in it, I was really excited. Just after that first scene, you're like, great, really want to see more of this character.
Yeah, and the film, as I said, like, even though obviously there's films that I have watched and will watch where Jeffrey Combs is the best thing in it because everyone else isn't great. But everyone else, as you said, is pretty good. Like, you know, Renee Zellweger is doing her own whole thing, which we probably haven't seen before if we've been watching more latter day. It's not how you use that phrase. more
Latter day Zellwegers.
more modern day Zellweger. So you wouldn't have seen that side of her before. And Gil Bellows, like, I genuinely, apart from Ally McBeal and Shawshank, I haven't seen him in much. So it's just nice to see him because he's good.
Yeah, he is good.
Yeah.
He's genuinely good in it. He plays that diamond in the rough, that Han Solo-y, Aladdin, gruff, sort of fun criminal guy to a T.
Yeah.
I think it's good casting. I think it actually is pretty good casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad that, because I cannot imagine seeing Jeffrey Combs in the Cody role now. Like, when I watch it, I'm like, look, he would have been fine, but that character doesn't have a lot to do.
No.
Because the Dino Bob character is so big, and I don't know if that's how they planned it initially, or if when Jeffrey Combs started doing his Dino Bob, they were like, let's beef up this character more.
I think so. I definitely think so. I think once you get in a room and you start just have fun with it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly all this stuff starts coming out. You're like, oh yeah, this is gold.
Yeah,
This is
Creepy
really good.
Cody's way more of a subordinate, so we're interested to know if that was the original dynamic or not.
Yeah, I can't imagine seeing him now because he absolutely made Dino Bob his own. And as I said, there's a huge amount of love for it online. So I'm really glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's good.
I was really hoping you weren't going to come in here and shit on this amazing character. There's also a great Tumblr, if you don't know about it, called Dino Bob Where He Shouldn't Be, which is just someone who likes to put Dino Bob in fun little situations, which is
amazing.
They so often make me laugh. They're very fun.
Great.
Yeah, that's 11 of 45.
Yeah.
I had fun.
I had fun.
And I had fun with you guys.
Oh,
Thanks for being in.
Thank you,
Thanks
mate.
for being in my house.
Yeah, it was
Thanks for having
great.
us. Yeah.
It was fantastic. Have a bit of a chat.
Anything to plug?
Yeah, I've got a comedy podcast called Welcome to Patchwork.
It's very good.
Where we discuss the little things in life that you might not pay much attention to. So, you know, if you bring a packet of chips to a party, if it doesn't get eaten, can you take it home with you? All the little things that are a bit silly. And Eden?
Yeah, and I've actually also have a podcast. Ours is called
everybody's got a podcast.
Everyone's got a podcast.
Straight white guys.
Hang
Yes,
on, there's
we
a guy.
do.
There's a guy walking past out the front. Podcast? Yeah, come and plug it. I do a podcast called Cancelled Movie Report, where we take some of the most famous cancelled movies that never got made, and we actually get hold of the scripts and do full retellings with voiceover actors in the roles, and we get to see whether these films are actually, did we miss out on something, or is it good that they never got made?
Yes, it's just, you know, looking at something and being like, "God, we fucking dodged a bullet."
Yes,
Yeah.
big time. So yeah, there's a few really good, interesting films that we look at.
And then, of course, as a duo together, Eden and I, Game Boys. So
Game Boys
we've got a YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. There's some clips on our YouTube from
Yeah.
digital shows past, and also they're looking forward to Fringe 2021. New stage show should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, not to seem sycophantic, not to be blowing smoke, but when I have seen a Game Boy show, it's usually been one of my absolute favourite shows of whatever festival it happens to be.
Thanks.
Oh, that's very nice.
not only are they incredibly fun, but you can just see how much fucking effort you guys are putting into it. Like, there's so much work in just, like, timing and tech, like amazing tech in your shows. And as I said, like, if you're into, I feel like if you're a listener, you're probably into movies. If not, what are you listening to this for? Do you just like me? Is that right? I like the idea of someone who likes Jeffrey Combs but doesn't like movies.
I'm a huge fan of just him in his day-to-day life.
Yeah. I like him. Oh, he's an actor. Oh, cool.
I never knew.
As usual, you can find this podcast, mine, the one you're listening to.
Smooth. How many episodes are we?
I feel like I had a joke bubbling in the lava of my mind.
Come on,
it just
it's going to come out. It's going to come out. Nope.
No. Let it percolate. It's coming. Well, as usual, you can find the podcast on all the usual socials. At ReanimatesPod on Twitter and Instagram, Reanimates Podcast on Tumblr, and there's a Facebook page if you're into that. And as usual, you can find the episodes on YouTube. I think the channel's just called Reanimates Podcast, but you can find it. You know what YouTube is. If you like listening to podcasts that way. YouTube, where all the videos are.
Yeah, that place. Well, we've had fun. We've had a great time. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.